Hello, this is Olufemi again. Thank you for coming along this Sunday afternoon. Last week we talked about 21 years old being the legal age in our family, and we asked you to signify what was the legal age or what is the legal age in your family, and also thank you for the birthday wishes from last week. Today we'll talk about strengths and weaknesses. As parents, none of our kids came with manuals. We didn't come with manuals with our parents too. So when you become a first time parent, you try to navigate, you read books, and the day of Instagram, you go through the Instagram to see what you can learn. And anyway, with one of our kids, when we were raising kids back in the day, we noticed that she talked a lot. And it was very frustrating for my husband and I. My husband would always say, "You talk too much." He would put her on a talk time out. And so one day we visited this lady, not old lady. She was my husband's coworker, an African American that was married to an African man. And so we visited them, and that was one of the days that she just was yapping, yapping, yapping. And my husband said, "You talk too much." He was like, "Ah." So the lady pulled us aside and she said, "You know what? Yes, I see that she is a talker, but there's a way you do these things. When you say it directly, you see you talk too much, that can kill her spirit." But she said, you can mold that into something positive because to us, you may see it as a weakness, but this is something that God has blessed her with. And do you know today, that's one of the things that she does in her job, in her career, she talks a lot. So can you imagine if we had killed that spirit in her as a young star, would she be able to do that today? And along the way, I met this young family a few years back, maybe 4 years ago, and the dad was complaining to me that, oh, she's too stubborn, she's too stubborn. He complained to me the first time I didn't say anything, but by the second or so third time, I pulled him aside and I said, you know what, please don't label her as somebody stubborn because stubborn is a strong word. It's not a good word. And I said, yes, she may be that word, but don't persistently say she's that because in a way you're putting that down, it becomes a negative thing. I said, pray and help her mold that about her into something positive. And I believe that stubbornness, we may say, yes, the spirit of stubbornness, the Bible says, is just as bad as the spirit of witchcraft. But you can mold it into something positive. Instead of her saying, no, no, no. If you tell her to do this, she doesn't do it. You can mold it into, you know what? She's a strong person. She has a strong personality. And I believe that in life, we need that strong personality to push through sometimes in life, especially if you're in a male dominated world and you're a woman, that can help you to push through. Because if you're not strong, if you're a timid person, then you give up easily. So those are some examples. There are a lot of examples of our, our weaknesses or our limitations that, with when we see those things in our children, we can help them mold it, turn it into something positive. And also, I want to talk to us about the fact that, kids are all different. You can have three kids, raise them in the same family, they come out differently. So don't compare and say, oh, at least this one is not a talkative, at least this one is not stubborn, especially not in front of them because, like I said, you kill them, you kill whatever that spirit is in them. So let us help our children. Let us build them up instead of tearing them down with the words that we speak to them. Especially, like I said, a kid might say, okay, this is who I am, this is how God made me in their own understanding. But if we sit them down and say, you know what, it's not a bad thing about you. We just need to figure out a way to turn it into positive instead of it being something negative. Thank you for coming along today. We discussed some of the weaknesses that we may see in our children, and we discussed ways that we can help navigate that. Tell me in the comment section if you've ever had a situation like that. I know you have, and let us know how you dealt with this. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Have a good day.